Well, Rob, we've talked about some of the games yesterday. We started with the Niners and the Jaguars. And speaking of the Jaguars, most people thought they would run away with the AFC South. I did. Now, you picked Indianapolis to win that division.
I did.
Look, I don't think they're going to win that division. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I give them credit. They play hard. And Shane Steichen has done a good job with them because I think they're playing at a higher level than most people thought. Especially, Anthony Richardson, he was a rookie anyway, so I don't know what people expected. But they're a tough out. I'll give them that. You're going to be in for a battle.
Well, if you would have said they're 5-5, Chris, and have won their last two, it is pretty amazing where they are when you consider what went on last year.
And they got a backup quarterback.
That. Think about last year. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a mess. But Jacksonville is in front, 6-3 in AFC South. But right on their heels, Rob, is really one of the biggest and best stories of the year, and that's the Houston Texans. And Rob, D'Amico Ryans, the first-year coach, of course, was the defensive coordinator for the Niners and a player not that long ago. And this is a team that won 11 games in the previous 3 years. And they won 3 a year ago. We know Deshaun Watson forced his way out of there. And now, Rob, they drafted the guy I thought should have went first, CJ Stroud out of Ohio State. And, Rob, the dude looks incredible. That's not an overstatement. He is having arguably the greatest rookie season in the history of the league for a quarterback. And we'll see if he keeps it up. We're only halfway through. But on Sunday, he led them to a come-from-behind victory in a game that very few people thought they'd win. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow's healthy now. They have been rolling. I think they had won 4 straight. And this was a game Cincinnati needed, Rob, because, with the slow start because of Burrow's injuries, they really don't have much room for error. And not only did CJ Stroud lead them to victory, he outplayed Joe Burrow 23 for 39, 356 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
Yeah, 2 fumbles too.
Yep, 2 fumbles. So it was not a perfect game by any stretch. But Rob, now get this. He is leading the league in yards per game, 292 per game. He's got 15 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. And he is one of only a handful of quarterbacks with a passer rating over 100. He's at 101. There's only 6 of them. And he's one of them. Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, Tua, and Brock Purdy, the other 5 with passer ratings over 100. And here's what I want to throw at you, Rob. In a year where we've talked about it, no one has really distanced themselves from the pack. The usual suspects, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, you could even throw it. He's not a usual suspect, but, last year he was, and this year he's thought to be coming into the season, Jalen Hurts. They have not distanced themselves. They're having good years, but nothing incredible. And let me ask you, do you think that the rookie, CJ Stroud, has inserted himself into the MVP conversation?
No, not yet. I don't believe so. They're 5-4. I just think that, Chris, they will give Joe Burrow, if the numbers, he's got to be incredible. They got to win 10, 11 games. It's got to be something of that ilk. If he plays well and they're 9-8, he's not winning the MVP. It'll go to Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes to win another one because their numbers, if they continue just to play, at a decent clip, right, won't be like what we're used to.
5,000
but they'll
yards
be exactly. But you know what I mean, Chris? They'll be the numbers will be good enough to where somebody will say, well, given their track record and their team won 12 games and they did this, they did that, it'll go to somebody like that. Like, that's the only way they're going to give a rookie quarterback on a team that's around 500. They lose a game, they lose next week or 2 games in a row, and then that conversation is done. I mean, that's how. And we talk about it all the time, week to week with the. And it's funny because they had the big win, Chris, but he had 3 turnovers in that game, 2 fumbles and an interception and only 1 touchdown. Still was a big win, but it wasn't like
come from behind,
right? But it wasn't like
he ran one in. Remember, he threw one and ran one in.
But I'm saying with the 3 turnovers, it wasn't even like his greatest day, and so that's the part that I think.
I think the comeback nature, though.
That's what people think.
People raving again. He's a rookie. Check this out, Rob. Only 2 times in the history of the NFL has a quarterback completed 60% of his passes or more, thrown for 275 yards a game or more, had a 7-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio or better, or had a passer rating of 100 or more. Only twice. And the 2 guys to do it, Tom Brady in 2016 and Aaron Rodgers in 2011. Rodgers won the MVP. Brady, that was the year, Rob, he was suspended 4 games for Deflategate. So Matt Ryan won MVP, but Brady, good. It's fair to say he may have won it had he not been suspended. And CJ Stroud, Rob, believe it or not, is on pace to do that. And so I hear you and I agree. Obviously 5-4, like if you were given the award now, that's not good enough.
Right. That's not going to get you right.
Right. If that's the equivalent, 9-8, that's not good enough. But I think, Rob, if they win 10 games, and I think you have to win at least 10 games, and that's 10-7, which isn't phenomenal. But I think you have to do both of these things, win at least 10 games, and, Rob, they have to make the playoffs. If they're if they miss the playoffs,
he ain't winning no MVP.
There's no way.
Right. You can forget
but
that.
And I don't know that 9-8, if they could sneak in at 9-8, I don't think that would get him the MVP. But if they're 10-7, double-figure wins, won 3 games last year, so that's one of the necessities to me for him to win MVP. The other, Rob, is, well, let's say that happens, and then let's just say all the quarterbacks kind of play at the level they're playing at, right? Mahomes plays this way all year. Burrow, Jalen, Lamar, whoever, and including CJ Stroud. Rob, I think he will win it. I think if he gets them into the playoffs with double-figure wins and everybody kind of stays as they are right now, statistically, I think he will win it. Because this is the year, like we said, there's nobody, like Lamar won, the poll in The Athletic last week going away. Well, he had a bad game, and it was a bad loss. Burrow had a bad game, 2 interceptions. So if he keeps these numbers,
he had 3 turnovers. He had 2
but nobody's talking about that. I know, but he's only got 2 interceptions all year.
I understand, but in that game, like the game that we're raising him to, like this MVP level, wasn't the great game for him. That's all I'm saying.
It was a really good game, Rob. Even though he had turnovers, it was a really
I know,
good
but
game.
You said Joe Burrow had 2 turnovers.
Played.
Oh, so-and-so had 2. He had 3. And it seemed like it's okay that he had 3 because they won?
Yeah, but he won with a quote-unquote inferior team. He don't have Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd out there catching passes.
I just don't see
Boyd's game.
All right.
And I don't think this one game elevated him. I think Rob, what elevated the comeback got people's attention.
Well, that. But
I honestly think the win. I think the win, Rob, is what really got people's attention, and the fact that they're 5-4, and check this out, Rob. They're 5-4, and remember they lost their first 2 games. Okay, so they were 0-2, and the 2 games they've lost since then, they lost both of them on last-second field goals. Last-second field goals. They beat Jacksonville. They beat Pittsburgh. They beat New Orleans. They beat Tampa Bay, and they've beaten Cincinnati. I think the fact that they're winning and now people are viewing them as a legitimate playoff contender and his numbers on top of that, and obviously he's the driving force behind it, I think that more than just that one game, Rob, has people saying, not that he's going to win. Dan Orlovsky, I think today said he's MVP. That's
okay. Can we go over the other Dan Orlovsky? You already know that's the kiss of death because Matthew Stafford's going to the Hall of Fame, and that was preseason. Justin Fields going to be the MVP. That's a guy who played quarterback in the NFL. I
think Orlovsky is really good. Okay. He's a really good analyst, but some of these pronouncements he makes are like,
it's just crazy.
What?
But here's my only problem. As much as we talk about it right now, Chris, it was just like the Brock Purdy coming off the big win against Dallas. Oh, give him respect. Give him credit. They should be in that conversation. Whatever. Then the next week he has an off day. He's like falls out of it. And that's what's going to happen here.
But don't you think that's understandable?
No, but that's what's going to happen here. That's what's going to happen here is there'll be a bad game or so or some 2-pick game and he throws a game-losing interception.
He only got 2 picks the whole season.
I got it, but it just takes one when you don't have a track record to fall out.
No, that's fair.
That's all I'm saying.
I think, look, we're halfway through the season.
I get it, Chris.
So patterns are set. So guys might not drop out and in as quite as much as they were earlier in the year. And no one has really been so great. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. It's not like you would say Mahomes is way out in front or Lamar is way out in front. So I think that is, it's still wide open. But I agree. There's no way you're MVP at 5-4.
No.